Our top story this hour: the world is fighting a losing battle against climate change. And a new report by the United Nations Climate Science Agency has declared that it is now or never. The report spells out some of the actions needed to be taken in this decade to contain global warming. This is a 10,000-page report. It is part of a trio of UN reports on climate change. This is the sixth such trilogy since the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change delivered its first report in 1990. The report says that accelerating global warming could cause profound human misery and ecological disasters. It mentions that there is only one way to avoid catastrophe, and that is by drastically reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Global emissions continue to rise in the last decade and have reached their highest point in history. As a consequence, global emissions are on track to blow past the 1.5 degrees Celsius warning limit, which was envisioned in the 2015 Paris Agreement.
Climate change is the result of more than a century of unsustainable energy and land use and patterns of sustainable consumption and production. And what this report has done is to show how taking action now can move us towards a fairer and more livable world. And so just to sum it all up, we know what to do, we know how to do it, and now it's up to us to take action.
Now, the report says that we have reached a point where only severe emission cuts in this decade across all sectors can turn things around. This includes agriculture, transport and energy. If that is achieved, governments would still need to bolster efforts to plant more trees. Countries would be required to develop technology that could remove some of the carbon dioxide already in the atmosphere after more than a century of industrial activity. The new report also highlights a need to cut down on consumer demand. It says without reduction in energy demand, it would be impossible to reduce emissions rapidly by the end of the decade. The report talks about demand-side mitigation. It places the onus on government to pass policies that incentivize sustainable choices. An example would be investing in bike lanes and public transport without blocking cars from the city centers to influence public choice.
This year, not next year, this week, not next week, today, not tomorrow. And that would really be the message. We need to get on with this now, or 1.5 degrees will slip beyond reach.
Meanwhile, the report also highlights that every corner of the globe is dealing with air pollution, and the problem is much worse in poorer countries. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.